Hi folks, my name is Harshita Chaudhary and I am currently pursuing my full-time political science degree from University of Delhi. Apart from pursuing a full-time degree, I spend my free time researching about topics related to psychology, spiritualism and self-development. And these are the topics that I intend to discuss on this channel. So if you are interested, stay tuned. As the title suggests, we are going to talk about happy hormones. Starting with the basics, happy hormones are those hormones that invoke positive feelings in us. These positive feelings can range from excitement to pleasure and to contentment. The first on the list is wait. Before I let you know about the four hormones, I want you to take a look at the structure in which I am going to talk about each hormone. Accordingly, the video would cover the following topics. The first one, what function does that hormone serve? Second, under which circumstances does that hormone gets released? Third, the associated symptoms related to its imbalance. Fourth, the ways to sustain its proper and healthy functioning in our bodies. Finally, we are going to talk about our first hormone, which is our very popular dopamine. So dopamine is also known as the feel-good hormone, and you want to know why? Well, we are already aware of the fact that our body contains a gland known as adrenal, and it is responsible for the release of adrenaline, which is responsible for our body to give a fight or flight response whenever we find ourselves in a stressful situation. But how fascinating it is to know that adrenal gland is also responsible in releasing dopamine in our body, and this gets released after we come out of the situation. An example would help you understand it better. Say a person who was being chased by a dog manages to fly from that situation, and after they have come out of that situation, they find themselves in a position where they find that all their bodily resources are now drained. Now, the adrenal gland will release dopamine so that the person feels good for effectively dealing with that situation, and so that the person's bodily resources and energy can get back to its body. So somewhere we can say that dopamine acts as a reward, and it acts to rejuvenate us after we are drained or tired. Essentially, dopamine is involved in the regulation of memory, attention, movement, and motivation in our bodies. From an evolutionary standpoint, dopamine acts as a reward for us when we are doing even the basic things like eating, competing, and reproducing. This is one of the reasons why excessive intake of junk food, overconsumption of adult content, and excessive engagement in video games and social media gives you a lot of pleasure and in turn make you addicted to it. As these things do not require a lot of considerable effort from our side, they are also incapable of promoting the healthy functioning of dopamine in our body, because the prerequisite of healthy functioning of dopamine lies in exposing ourselves to tough situations. Although its imbalance can make us vulnerable to memory loss, poor concentration, a persistent feeling of fatigue, and difficulty in falling asleep. Subsequently, in order to sustain a healthy functioning of dopamine, what we are required to do is to not get dependent on those easy sources of dopamine. Instead, we can start by replacing them with habits like that of eating a balanced diet, engaging in regular sports or other exercises, and making real social connections with real people and not just on social media. If you are someone who constantly struggles with mood changes like me, then you particularly need to pay attention to this hormone. Serotonin functions to stabilize your mood, improve sleep, digestion, and wound healing. Its imbalance results in the adoption of insomnia, loss of appetite, and the adoption of an irritable or restless temperament. Apart from this, if you would closely observe the nature, you will find that nature goes through gradual changes, which is quite contrary to our nature. We are the ones who are changing at a very fast speed, and this is somewhere hindering with our serotonin level. Okay, if I were to ask you, do you remember the last time you went for a nature walk, engaged in trekking, took a sunbath, or even engaged in those light exercises? It's hard to remember, right? But don't get disheartened. I have a cure for this. If the disconnect is causing you trouble, then it's time to reconnect with the nature. The more you expose yourself with the nature, the more qualities you are most likely to adopt in yourself. If you can't escape from your busy and tiresome work schedule on weekdays, then consider going out for a nature or monument walk on the weekends. Or when you are in office, then consider looking out at a tree from your office's window. This would leave you with a calm and peaceful mind. The third hormone is oxytocin, which is also known as the love or bonding hormone. As social beings, we cannot survive in isolation. Therefore, whether we are extroverted or introverted, we need at least a few meaningful connections. And oxytocin helps us in doing just that. You would have heard people saying, I don't feel seen or heard. If this is the case, then these people lack meaningful connections in their lives. And when you observe that, then it's your social responsibility to show your affection and support towards them. Additionally, even the smallest acts of being forgiving to people, giving a listening ear to the distressed, and petting the street animals can go a long way in optimizing the oxytocin levels. Lastly, there is one thing to remember. Unlike other hormones, oxytocin arises in relation to others. Therefore, when you engage in pro-social behavior, then the person who is being helped is not the only one who will feel loved, but you, on the other hand, will also feel loved and content. Now, the last in the category of happy hormones are endorphins. And endorphins are those hormones which are mostly confused with dopamine. But in this video, I will let you know the difference between the two. Endorphins are the natural painkillers of the brain. So, whenever you find yourself in a situation where you are experiencing intensive pain, then your body will release endorphins to ease and minimize that pain. However, dopamine gets released after you have managed to come out of that challenging situation. Remember, the keyword here is challenging and not painful. If you want a real life example, then here it goes. Let's say somebody is suffering through physical or emotional pain. For example, somebody has got a breakup from their friend and a woman is going through her menstrual cycle. So, under these circumstances, the person would be experiencing intensive pain. And in order to deal with that pain, what one can do is have a dark chocolate or watch something funny, because these acts would increase the endorphin level. This is it for today. But before ending this video, I wanted to let you know that I am creating content which is helpful and hopefully inspiring for you. Hence, any encouragement and feedback from your side through your engagement would be greatly appreciated.